Hi everyone, I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Justine Martin. Justine, hi. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to tell us a little about yourself? And you're welcome, by the way. Sorry.
Well, I live in Geelong, Victoria, Australia, which is one of the southern states of Australia. So I've got a little bit of an accent compared to you guys.
Little.
Just a little. I became an author kind of by accident, really. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2011 and told that I would never be able to work again or contribute back into society, and told to find a hobby. So I picked up a paintbrush and I learned how to paint and started then. It kind of just snowballed into an art business, and one business led to another business, which led to another business. I now run 7 businesses, and I'm the local business leader of the year. And a lot's happened in those 13 years. And I underwent 3 heart surgeries, and I had 3 primary cancers at once. And people wanted to know my story. And how do you tell your story best, besides going out and being a public speaker like I am, is to write it down. And so I started writing articles and blogs, and that then led to books, which then led to the art side of me, and now the writing side of me, doing children's picture books as well. And I just had one released 2 days ago. So
congrats.
Thanks. It was the best book launch on the planet. I'm being biased, but I actually wrote it for a charity called River's Gift here in Australia, and they raise money for bereaved families of cot death and money for research for cot death, sudden infant death syndrome, and they commission to write this book. And every year they have an inaugural ball, and they pick a book every year to feature. And so last year it was Narnia, and they've had The Lion King, they've had Alice in Wonderland, and this year they picked Finding Hope, my book. So they brought the characters to life out of the book, and the whole room was just decorated in everything that I'd painted in the book. So it was amazing. There were 280 people there, and everyone got a copy of the book, and I felt like a celebrity, absolute celebrity on the night. So it's going to be hard in the future to top a book launch like that one.
I bet.
They were $250 a ticket to go to this book launch.
Oh, my goodness.
It was amazing. But they raised a lot of money, and now we're on the campaign of, spreading the message out further about finding hope.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thanks, Heather.
You're so welcome, Justine. So was that your first book?
No. So I wrote Same but Different, a children's book on equality and inclusion, and illustrated that back in about 2021 through COVID. And I submitted that off to 31 publishers and got 5 contracts back. And I thought, I'm onto something here. People see that there's meaning behind this. And then when I read through the contract, they wouldn't, because I'm an illustrator as well, they wouldn't let me use my artwork in anything else. And I went, well, that's not going to work at all for me.
No.
That's cutting off a lot of my income if I can't create the same styles. And my team was sitting here in this room actually, and I stepped out of the room for a moment and came back in, and I went, we're going to start a publishing business. And they're like, what? You're only gone for 60 seconds? So, well, that's all it takes. We're going to have control over what we publish, and we're going to publish for other people as well. So Same but Different was the first book that came out. And then I put an anthology together last year of 26 people in Australia, including myself, that have MS. And I wrote a fair chunk of that book. And it's still sitting in Australia around the top 10 in the categories that it's in. And I've co-authored 7 other books as well. And my book's about to come out in August if I can pull my finger out and get it finished. I don't have to wait for the publisher. See, as soon as it's, at the moment, each chapter that I'm writing is being edited. My editor is just doing it. So once I finish that last chapter, it'll be just then sending it off to the typesetter and putting it all together, and we can have a book out in a couple of weeks.
Wow, that's exciting.
It's very exciting. So I've got other books on the go at the moment. I've got a book coming out next week. My podcast I turned into a wordcast.
Okay.
So I did the podcast. So I've got 3 different podcasts because one's never enough. And we turned it into a vlogcast, and then we turned it into a wordcast. So I got all the transcripts, lifted them off, edited them all. We kind of kept them in their raw form as well, with not changing too much in them. Sent them back to the guests. They all approved them, and it's turned out to be a 565-page book that's coming out next week. So,
oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that sounds exciting.
We're already editing season number 2 as well. So, and we've got openings at the moment for season number 3 on that one.
Wow.
Mindset. So yeah, there's lots of books coming out, and I help other people. Like I said, now I've got a publishing business called Morpheus Publishing that I help other people, particularly disabled people, share their stories, and I run a writing group as well because as you know, Heather, it's lonely writing.
It is
itself. And so we have a community group here all on Zoom, and twice a month we all connect and see where we're up to with our writings and celebrate the highs and offer advice for the lows. And that's
what I need to participate in, is something like that.
Well, maybe there's a time zone that actually suits you over here. But yeah, we have people from all around the country that come into that, and no pressure. If you can't make it one session, you can make it to the next. Yeah,
that's nice, because a lot of groups can be very pressury if you don't make one.
Yeah, no pressure. It's on your own back if you get there or not. You've got to be accountable to yourself first before you're accountable to someone else. And we'll definitely, I won't hold your hand, but I will guide you.
That's awesome. That's important.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like a lot of writers, they need an accountability, person sometimes to help, keep you on track and keep you going the way you want to go, if that makes sense.
I think you need to know your why you're doing it. That's the first thing. If you don't know why you're writing a book, put the pen down. You're going to know why. You're going to know who your audience is as well. Who are you writing for? What's the key message in what you're writing? If it's a fiction book, what are you hoping that the emotions that it feels in them and what they get out of it at the end? If it's a non-fiction book, what's your message that you're actually trying to tell someone through it? And I think when you know your why, it makes it easier then to write. Otherwise, you keep waffling around and you don't know what you're doing.
What do you think the hardest genre to write is?
Oh, fiction. Definitely fiction. It's easy to fact check everything if you want to do a non-fiction book, and for me personally, to use that imagination and know where that storyline's going, And to think of something that hasn't been thought of before as well is extremely difficult for that. Well, personally for me, but you might get a fiction writer that goes, oh, there's no way that I can do nonfiction.
I don't think I could do nonfiction at all.
There you go. You know what I do
do
hard? Children's books. Making sure that the wording is correct and it's the right age group and pictures are appropriate for children's books. That's
really important.
Yeah, 100%.
What's your favorite thing about writing a children's book?
The look on the children's faces when they're reading it.
Do you have plans to write more children's books?
Yes, I do. And they'll all have some meaning behind them. So they won't be just pretty pictures.
Yes. That's so important because I feel like a lot of books, it's all about the pretty pictures and, you know, a cute little story. But it's really nice when our children can take something away, like a value from
That's
the
right.
book, whether an educational experience or learning manners, you know, simple things like that. It's important that they take away something.
I've got a really good test audience. I've got grandkids, and so I'll sit them down before I even put a picture to the page, and I'll read it to them. And you know, they range from 14 down to 18 months old. So, and then you know, I'll hand the words to them and say, you know, can you read this for me? And to hear it come out of a young mouth rather than an adult also sounds differently. And it's like, oh no, that needs tweaking. So, you know, they're always my toughest critics. And I know that if they like the book and they want me to read it to them again, and I've got a couple of grandsons that have taken it to their childcare and they read it over and over and over at childcare, that's the highest form.
Precious.
Yeah, it is.
I know my daughter's 15 and I write science fiction, fantasy, that type of thing. And the other day she read a chapter that I had just finished writing and she was like, are you kidding me? Why did that happen? It was so funny because she did not see it coming at all. And she was so upset about it, about what happened with the two characters. Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious. It was so nice to see, you know, somebody enjoying your stories that much. It's a wonderful feeling.
It is. And, you know, I sat and signed 400 signatures last week.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because that order came in, it was, you know, a couple of thousand books. And so I haven't finished signing them all yet. But it was funny the other night sitting there and no one knew who I really was. And so there were tables of people, everyone in ball gowns and everything, and they were all looking at my book. And I just walked past one of the tables and I went, do you guys mind if I just do a selfie? Can you all just, you know, still hold your books? And they're all like looking at me and saying, oh, yeah, all right. So, you know, I'm taking a selfie with them all with the books behind me. And then I said to them, I'm the author and the illustrator. And they're like, oh. And it was so nice to see. And
that's, you know, awesome.
People coming up to me all night saying, I love your story. I love the book. And
do you have one with you that you could show us?
I do.
Oh, that is adorable. And you drew the illustrations as well?
Yes.
Aw.
And so this one's not on Amazon yet, but it will be in another week.
Okay.
All right. So we haven't put it online yet. But it's available on my website and Morpheus Publishing website. But, you know, it takes you through. This is Hope the elephant, their mascot, and it takes you through her journey. She realizes that something's missing and she realizes that hope is missing in her life, and she asks all her friends on what hope is to them and how she can find hope. And then she realizes that hope is within all of us and it's magical and it can pass from one person to the next person. So there's that one. And then I've got this one. So that's The Whispers of Resilience.
Oh, wow.
That's big book there. And then same but different.
Oh, that's cute.
And so this is another one that I illustrated as well. And I've got a pet dachshund, and her name's Pansy. And how this book came about is here in my home, we teach art wellness classes to people with disabilities. And Pansy just sees everyone the same. She's little Miss Anxiety dog. She'll wee on everyone. There's no discrimination whatsoever. And I thought, wouldn't that be nice if society was, you know, not weak for everyone, but, you know, treated everyone the same and equal. And my grandson walks around all the time saying, same, Nan. And I'm like, there's the title for the book. And so, you know, this is one of the pages. And
I love that.
It just goes, you know, legs. You have long legs. I have short legs. We are the same. Why? Because we both have legs. So we are different, yes, but we are the same. And it goes through, you know, her journey of just saying, you know, big ears, big nose, little nose, blue eyes, brown eyes. You have scales on your skin. I have hair on my skin, but we are the same because we both have skin. And it's been quite popular as well. So, you know, the next children's book will have definitely an underlining theme to it. And Pansy features in all of my books, and so does a green frog.
Green frog?
Green tree, Australian giant green tree frog.
Okay.
There's all in the children's picture books. There's always a little frog somewhere. So the kids have to try and find the frog.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. I know there was an author, I'm trying to think, it was from, I remember when I was younger, they used to hide names, I think it was, in their illustrations.
Yep.
I'm trying to think who it was. It's going to bug me now, but like they had a whole series of books, and I remember reading them and always looking for like the names and stuff.
Yeah. And you know the Where's Wally books? Have you seen them? Yeah. So over here we have Where's Spider-Man?
Nice.
And all these Marvel and DC characters and everything through it all. And so I bought a couple of those for the grandkids, and I sit there and they frustrate me.
I am nowhere near as patient as I used to be be able to do those, but they are fun. You make me want to go pick one up now.
They are very fun. But yeah, so there's lots more books in here. Can't get them out quick enough.
Yeah.
Or illustrate. I'm illustrating a children's book at the moment for a girlfriend of mine. She's got a traumatic brain injury, and so her book's all about having a mum that's different. And I've got an acquired brain injury, so I don't know any other combinations where there's been a traumatic brain injury and an acquired brain injury writing a children's book together. So that'll be out. We're launching that in August. That one.
Well, you'll have to let me know, because
I will, Heather.
I would love to help share support for that book. Diversity is important to me, and disability is. I'm epileptic, so I totally understand people with disabilities. I was a healthcare worker as well, and I love taking care of people. So I've, you know, taken care of people with traumatic brain injuries, elderly, dementia patients, and there's nothing like it in the world.
Well, we're bringing out another book at the end of the year, but it's a photography coffee table book.
Okay.
And so I've got a friend, one of my business coach clients, and him and his wife run a photography video business, and he said to me the other day, I'd like to do an exhibition. And I'm like, okay, well, let's sit and think about this and make it different. I said, you know, who do you want to photograph? And he goes, I think I just want to photograph beautiful people, inside beautiful people, that are in the disability sector that get overlooked. And I'm like, okay, let's do it, and let's turn it into a coffee table book for these people. And so from that, we've then gone, oh, well, let's make a little a little documentary out of this as well, and the process of doing it all together and their stories. And They can have 1,000 words. I'll interview them, and that'll go in the book. And so now it's turned out bigger than Ben-Hur.
Oh, wow.
To give people a voice that wouldn't normally have the opportunity of having a voice.
And that's so important because, you know, people with disabilities are looked at like they're different, but we're no different than anyone else, no matter what it is.
No.
And being able to convey that and get people to understand, and being safe to talk about it without like shame and stuff like that is, you know, very important. I'm very passionate about that.
Me too. And that's, you know, I travel internationally talking my story because I don't look disabled the majority of the time. I do sometimes use mobility aids, but at the moment my MS is very stable and my cancer is all in remission. So, you know, I do have trouble getting up steps, and so getting up onto the stage sometimes a bit of an issue, especially when they haven't put steps there. But, you know, I share my story, and, you know, if you saw me walking along the street, would you consider me disabled? And most people would say no. And I'm like, but I am. And over here we have what's called disabled car parking bays. And we have a permit that we can park in those bays. And I get abused all the time for parking in them because I don't look disabled enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at either, I don't think, if I went.
So don't judge that book by its cover.
I mean, there's thousands of disabilities, and some of them you can't tell just by looking at a person.
No, you can't. And, you know, I put a lot of effort generally into the way that I look and, you know, my appearance, and have pride about myself. So not looking disabled when you're disabled is actually a disability in itself.
Yeah.
Always having to explain yourself. Always.
I agree.
So, yeah, Amy and I are bringing this book out. It's called Our Mum is Different. And it'll be amazing when it's out in August. So
that's exciting. You have so much going on. You're a busy lady.
That's only half. That's not even half of it. I think there's I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 books due out by the end of the year. So
wow.
Not just mine, but, you know, I've got some of my authors that are nearly ready. They're under edit at the moment. One girl wrote 90,000 words, Heather, in 6 weeks.
Wow, that's wild.
It's insane, absolutely. But she spurred me on. I'm like, if she can do that, I can. I better get my finger out to it. 90,000 words in 6 weeks, and she did 1 to 2 hours a day in 6 weeks, and she smashed that out. So, you know, I encourage people to do 10, 15 minutes a day. If you can do 10, 15 minutes of writing a day, you've got a book in 12 months.
Yeah, definitely. I know some people say you have to write a certain amount of words a day, but I think as long as you're writing, just
touch it every day. If it's 1 sentence, if it's 10 sentences, just touch it every day. And a little trick is don't ever finish the sentence off. So leave the sentence half finished.
How come?
Because it's easier to pick it back up the next time.
What if you want it to go a certain way, and then say you forget the way you want it to go when you come back?
Well, then you will sit there and finish that way you want it to go.
That's a good idea. I might have to try that.
Yeah, so
I always finish the sentence.
Leave it half finished, and if it does go off in a different direction, it was never meant to go that other way anyway. So, yeah.
I had a character, and she was supposed to be the villain, and I went away from the story for a little bit, and I came back, and I guess she decided somewhere along the lines all the bad stuff she had done was for the greater good, this huge event coming up. So I was like, I never knew that was coming.
You know how you asked me whether fiction or non-fiction is harder? So I've always considered myself a non-fiction author. And because of my acquired brain injury, I'd actually forgotten that I started a fiction book back in the very, very early 2000s. And I remember saving it on a floppy disk, a 3.5 floppy disk. Okay, so a little, one of the little ones.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've still got that. You know, just I've moved across Australia twice, and if you know how big Australia is, it's you know, a massive task. So I wonder if I've got that from 25 years ago. Anyway, I went hunting for it and I found it.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm like, oh, it's not going to fit in my MacBook. How am I going to read it? Anyway, Amazon actually sell readers for $25. So I bought one and got it delivered and put it in, and it worked.
No way.
Yeah, I've got 14 pages done. So first chapter done of this fiction book that I started in about 2001, which is amazing. So yeah, I don't know if I'll finish it. My staff have told me I'm not allowed to touch it until my book's finished. And it's out in August, because it can't be a bright, shiny distraction that I've got to go off and do that.
Yeah, I get it completely.
Yeah, so I finished that one, and then I can possibly become a fiction writer besides children's books.
If you had to write any genre that wasn't children's or nonfiction, what would it be?
Romance. Mushy romance. Mills and Boons. That's what this one is. It's a mushy Mills and Boons romance. But I know a lot more about men nowadays, so it will definitely take on a different journey than when I started it.
I believe it. I believe it 100%.
Yeah. I've got a friend here in Australia that I actually met in Ireland when I was on a writing retreat over there last year, and we just happened to be at the Guinness storehouse, the Guinness factory, and we bumped into each other and met then. And he's a big hetero Aussie male that used to be in the army. And he said, oh, I've been here on a writing retreat. And I'm like, oh, my God, so have I. I stayed at a castle for a week doing mine. He stayed out at this little cottage. And I said, oh, what genre do you write? And he goes, oh, I write fiction books. And I'm like, okay. He goes, yeah, lesbian fiction, romance. And I'm like, what?
That is wild.
How does that work? You're a hetero male writing lesbian.
I'm surprised. I've met other male authors that write romance, and it's like, I thought it was only a women's genre that wrote romance.
And I said to him, do you tell people that? And he goes, oh, no. I said, oh, my God, that's a marketing thing. Get on TikTok. Get out there and say that that's what you do. And people will read it just for the thing of, oh, he can't write about lesbian romance. He's an Aussie male. And anyway, he does, and he sells lots of books, and he's written lots of books, and he's written some children's books as well. So he's incredible.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That is so cool to have that diversity.
Yeah.
And look, you have that as well. You write children's and nonfiction, so...
That's because, and that's the way that I paint as well, Heather. I don't say, oh, well, I can only do acrylics or I can only do watercolor. It's like, no, I've learnt how to do others, and, writing is a learning process as well. And all right, I'll give that a crack. If I don't like it, I don't like it, but I'm not going to say, oh, well, I can't do that. I've just got to learn how to do it. And that's been, since being diagnosed with MS and having to learn everything again. And, I still can't count properly, even after all these years. That ability was taken away in 2010. To count to 10 or to count to 20, I can do that now, but subtraction, no way. And, when I was in high school, our teachers used to say to us, oh, you better know your times tables and how to count, because you're never going to walk around with a calculator in your pocket. Well, how wrong were they? Because every single one of us now, nearly on the planet, has a calculator in our pocket. So
I agree.
For me to learn something, it takes like 10 times the amount of time as what other people do. But doesn't mean that I can't do it. It just means that it's a little bit more challenging now, and it takes a little bit longer in time. But, we live in such an age that anyone can start writing with the help of, AI programs such as Grammarly to help you with your grammar, not ChatGPT. I'm not talking about on ChatGPT and writing. I'm talking about, your spell check programs and your Grammarly programs that can help you. But, even if you don't have those, that's where you find an editor and say, here, fix it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Grammarly is wonderful. It's like my best friend.
I've got the premium subscription.
Yep.
And
I go through when I'm writing, like I don't even stop to worry about like capitalizing and commas, and I just go through real quick trying to get all the thoughts out. And then it's like,
should do never stop to correct yourself. And that's what I say to my guys, my writing students, is just write it down. When we do our one-on-one, because it's on Google, I can on G Drive, I can have a look what they've written, and they'll spend about the next half an hour writing, and I go back and do a soft edit and fix up all the spelling mistakes and put some grammar in there for them while they're doing it. And I'm like, but just get it out on paper. Don't worry about how bad it is. You'll be able to read back later and go, oh, what was that word? But work it out what it was. So
that's awesome. I do have to get ready to wrap up, but it has been so fun talking to you and hearing about your books and writing and just getting to know you in general. I can't wait to see the rest of your books come out. And
thanks for having me on, Heather.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And the day that this podcast airs, we'll have your book listed on our Book of the Day section, so everyone can find out how to purchase your books and links to connect with you on socials, that type of thing.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye. Thank you. Everyone, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.